It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
Des Clark, and this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. As always, I'm joined by some of the country's top comics. On my right, we have Fred Macaulay and Priya Hall, and facing off against them will be Scott Agnew and Elaine Malcolmson. In the news this week, a trap used to catch poachers and trespassers in the 1700s has been stolen from an Aberdeenshire abbey. Police only have one lead and are looking for a man with a left leg that matches the right one left at the scene of the crime. Firefighters in Lanark have rescued 3 badgers from a 16-foot sewage tank, prompting major concerns that Scotland may well be facing another toilet roll shortage. And the Queen has taken part in a traditional ceremony in Edinburgh where she is offered the keys to the city, partially as a mark of respect, but mostly so she can let herself in when she comes home steaming. Right, you've met the panel. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess the 2 major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Fred and Priya, can you tell me what the first story in the mashup is?
The promotion of
another independence referendum
should be banned, according to
Alex Cole-Hamilton, the Scottish Liberal Democrats,
and says statutory restrictions on the promotion and marketing of Scotland could help improve public health.
The First Minister
says she'll study the report carefully.
Fred, any ideas what a first story might be?
It's a tough one, right enough, Des. Is it Love Island? Can I just say, right off the bat here, the announcement that there's going to be a second referendum, it is no coincidence that the First Minister made that announcement in the week that a good friend of this show and all of us as comics, Janie Godley, announced that she's in recovery from cancer, and we wish her all the very best. Because Nicola will be desperate to hear Janie's running commentary of what's happening. So the First Minister said a number of months ago that there'd be no referendum till COVID was dealt with. We'd either have COVID or a referendum, and now she's given us both. So well done, Your Royal Highness, for that. I'm going to reserve judgment until I've seen Scotland's Future edition 2. Remember the book that came out and the photos in 2014? 16-page brochure that came through every letterbox in Scotland with a resume of the main points, and then in page 4, you might remember this, a pizza restaurant pamphlet. So I've no idea what was on page 5 to 16. But if you want to know how I voted in 2014, pepperoni.
It all makes sense now. There is the news that First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has proposed the 19th of October 2023 as the date for another referendum on independence. Ms Sturgeon has written to Prime Minister Boris Johnson to ask for formal consent for the vote to be held, but has said she would press on with her plan if this was not granted by the UK government. Westminster said it would examine the First Minister's proposals, but stressed that its position of now is not the time for another referendum has not changed. Of course, there are a number of ways that Nicola Sturgeon could phrase the referendum question in order to influence the result, the most effective simply being a photograph of Boris Johnson with the words aye or no.
It's like a choose your own adventure book, isn't it? So if the UK government says no, turn to page 15 to ask the Supreme Court, or turn to page 23 to hold a de facto referendum, and then you turn to page 23 and it says, sorry, you've been bored to death by Douglas Ross.
Scott Agnew, what have you made of Nicola Sturgeon's announcement this week?
Bit disappointed with the presentation. Where were the dance numbers, the pyros? Do you know what I mean? I was really hoping for Gene Freeman come down a grand staircase, like in a Spangly number, juggling cigarettes, you know. John Swinney in a sparkly G-string, and Angus Roberts on the other side carrying Nicola into like a sparkly swing, and she'd give it October 19. None of that.
The last time the question was asked, and it was amended by the then Electoral Commission, who then were independent, and initially the question was, do you agree that Scotland should be an independent country? And they dropped, do you agree? Because, as you all know, the audience here and at home, we're such an agreeable nation, right? We would just have gone in and said, do you agree? Aye, I do, aye. What was the rest of the question? I didn't bother reading it.
Obviously, as we know, Westminster's saying it's holding firm on its position and that Scotland now is not the time for a referendum. Do you think the referendum is worth having if Downing Street won't back it? What do you think, Priya?
I gotta say I agree. Like, things that Downing Street have backed include illegal parties, corrupt PPE contracts and honest-to-God violations of human rights. At this point, surely it's a better PR move if they don't back it.
Yeah.
Like, if Boris Johnson's like, yeah, that seems like a good idea, everyone collectively will be like, maybe let's not, actually.
What do you think about this idea, Elaine? Is the referendum worth having if Downing Street don't back it?
I've got nothing in my diary for the 19th of October 23 anyway, so...
It's good to know.
I don't think anyone's going to really change their minds, though, are they? Because they'll have to get a new badge.
Priya, what do you think about this? Downing Street and Westminster saying now is not the time for a referendum. When would you say you've had the worst timing?
My best example of my shocking timing is, before I started doing comedy, I used to work in NHS Wales for the team that deals with infectious diseases. And I quit that job to do stand-up comedy in 2020.
What were you thinking?
I'm a dyed-in-the-wool moron.
Also this week, you may have seen the First Minister met the Queen at the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh. Miss Sturgeon presented the Queen with a number of gifts, including a bottle of whiskey and 2 years' notice. And there we have it. The push for another referendum and Scottish independence is the correct answer. Fred and Priya, well done. You get 2 points for that. Now to you, Scott and Elaine, what was the other story we were after?
There's a report that says alcohol advertising should be banned in public places.
That's the right answer, yes. It is the story that a group of experts have called for the Scottish Government to ban the advertising of alcohol in outdoor and public spaces, as well as for sports and event sponsorship. Of course, Scottish people don't drink alcohol because they think it makes them look cool. They drink it because they need to get through a second referendum. What do you think about this idea? We should be taking a tougher stance on alcohol advertising.
I don't know if advertising sort of makes any difference whatsoever, right? Because you're talking about a man that within 7 minutes of getting off the plane at Dubai Airport, he was able to find his way to an Irish bar that could have a pint and a cigarette, right? 2 terminals away, and there was not a signpost or an advert anyway, right? I think just the sort of natural Scottish intuition and orienteering skills allows us to find drink even in the driest of conditions, do you know what I mean?
So what do you think, Fred? Should we be taking a tougher stance on alcohol advertising?
I heard the debate on the radio the other day, and they said that the best kind of advertising is the advertising that you see and you don't actually realise you've seen it. And this made no effect on me whatsoever, Des. Welcome to Scotland, Priya.
Priya's now drinking a can of Tennent's provided to her by Fred Macaulay. How you feeling? You all right?
I think don't be tougher on advertising, just be more honest with it. Like, if WKD want to advertise, fine. Just use a picture of me, age 15, vomiting all over my mum's friend's car.
Fred, take that drink away from her. Are there certain places, though, that really shouldn't advertise alcohol?
Probably, but like I remember Guinness is good for you. Do you remember that? Because I have a really clear memory of my granda in a hospital bed being given bottles of Guinness, and of course you don't get those in the NHS anymore. Hospital beds.
Are there certain places, Priya, that really shouldn't advertise alcohol?
I really don't know, but I've been in Glasgow for about 12 hours now, and If you guys get rid of alcohol advertising, this city's going to look very different. It's going to be a lot less colourful, I'll tell you that much.
The promotional thing, right, is the kind of hypnotic thing. Because I was trying to find myself a wee drink about 8 o'clock in the morning near here, right? And there's a lovely wee bar in the Trongate, and it's as part of their licence, it is a requirement that you must have something to eat if you're going to have something to drink at 8 a.m. And I went, well, what's the menu? She went, a roll. I went, fine, I'll have a pint and a roll. And she looks over to all the wee men in the boozer, right? All the wee men in there, they look like gargoyles that were blown off a cathedral and just smashed and landed there, right? You know, the wee men with the summer teeth, some are brown, some are yellow, some are missing, right? Just... And I went, I'll have a pint and a roll. And she looks over to all the wee men and she goes, right, who's got the roll? There's one roll in the whole pub. They just pass it round to whoever get the latest pint, you know.
There we go. Yes, well done, Scott and Elaine. You get 2 points for that. It was the mashup of a push for a second referendum in Scotland and a call for tougher restrictions on alcohol advertising. And at the end of that round, the teams are all square. Now, much of our news is about public opinion, and so this week, to find out what stories people are talking about, we've spoken to star of Scot Squad Sally Reid and the Hebridean baker Cynioch MacLeod. Now, Scott and Elaine, what story do you think Sally is on about here?
I'm definitely guilty of using mine too much. I'm always mortified at the start of every week when you get the little notification that tells you how long you've been using it. They just make it so easy because you can do anything on it.
I believe it's some kind of chat about how much time we spend on our mobile phone. Apparently the inventor of the mobile phone is unhappy or scorning us for the amount of time we're spending on it.
That is correct, yes. Martin Cooper, who led the team that built the first mobile phone in 1983, has raised concerns about the amount of time people are now spending on their devices. Increasingly, consumers are turning to the dumb phone, a mobile phone that is simple, nondescript and easy to forget about. It's the technological equivalent of Grant Shapps.
I want to take issue with this Martin Cooper one, getting wide, right? I only use my phone, you know, about 5% of my waking hours. You know, yes, but that's because you're still using the one you invented in 1973, right? There's nothing on it, pal.
Elaine, what do you think about this then? We've got the actual inventor of the first mobile phone saying that we spend too much time on it. Are you guilty of using your mobile too much?
Do you know, like Martin Cooper says he spends less than 5% of his time on a phone. I want to know what percentage of his time he spends telling people that he spends less than 5% on his phone.
Priya, do you think you're guilty of using your mobile too much?
I am, but I don't regret it at all. Like, I think 5 hours is amateur hour. I use my phone for everything. There's a statistic here that TikTok was the most downloaded app worldwide, with users spending 90% more time there compared to 2020. I can understand why. Does anyone here use TikTok? I mean, I'm looking at the audience. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. One hand there. It's so addictive. The algorithm is so sophisticated that within half an hour of being on it, it diagnosed me with loads of personality disorders. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the algorithm listening to everything I do because it's more than any medical professional's ever done. So
At least someone's out there, aren't they?
I remember this guy, Martin Cooper, and Motorola was the company that developed it, and it was built out of brick, and then they got smaller. And some of the audience here will remember when you don't get an aerial anymore. Remember you had a wee aerial and you'd go, hi, can't hear you. Oh, I forgot to put the aerial up because the satellite was 22 kilometres and 3 inches away. Got you now, got all loud and clear now.
I love that the aerial got more of a response than TikTok. That really tells you the demographic of the room.
They're all my friends from Bebo. Couple of MySpace fans are in tonight.
Friends reunited in the house tonight. Elaine, any ideas? How would you convince people to use their phones less?
Hide their chargers.
What do you think about this then, Priya? How would you convince people to use their phones less?
I would give my mum everyone's phone numbers. Because 5 minutes on the phone with that woman is plenty of aversion therapy. That'll sort it right out.
Straight away, put it down.
Yeah, like,
never again.
Never again.
Right, Fred and Priya, what do you think Kunyuk is talking about here?
If you're a man, buy a kilt. It'll set you up for every invitation for the rest of your life, as long as you don't put any weight on. This is one of the only days of your life that you want to share with everybody. Invite all your aunties, all your pals, and just have the best day.
Is it expensive weddings?
Yeah, that is the right answer, Priya. Well done. Research has revealed that nearly a third of people have turned down a wedding invite because of the cost. According to the findings, the average cost of attending a wedding currently sits at around £567 per head. Priya, do you think that weddings are getting too expensive?
They definitely are, but I think everyone might be using this as an excuse to not go to weddings anymore. I liked what Experian was saying about people like saving money on weddings by like travelling all night and repeatedly wearing the same outfits. I like to imagine that applies to the wedding dress. I love the image of getting on a train, like a 6 a.m. commuter train, and there being a woman in a full wedding dress being like, well, I paid for it, I'm getting my money's worth.
Look at that, it's the greatest day of my life. We got a train. Fred, this stat's unbelievable. £567 per head to go to a wedding.
Yep.
Do you think weddings are now too expensive?
As a dad that had 2 weddings last year to help pay for, I thought 567, I would take that per guest. It was a heck of a lot more, but that's for them to go.
In terms of the cost, though, Elaine, it does feel like it's got out of control. Do you think weddings are getting too expensive?
Well, if the average cost of attending a wedding is £567, I mean, that's wild. But if you take into account the money you'll save by not being in your house with the heating on, probably broken even.
Good point. Scott Agnew, what do you think about this chat then, that weddings are getting too expensive? Do you agree?
I had an auntie, right, and her daughter was getting married. She was explaining to my mother that she'd bought a hat for the wedding and she'd went over budget. She went, £400, £400 I paid for that hat, but it's a lovely hat. It's a lovely hat. I had to have that hat, right? But I'll tell you what's happening. See you on the Monday morning, it's going straight back to the Debenhams, right? So the Monday morning, my auntie goes back to Debenhams, marches in with the hat in a hat box and slams it in the desk. This is not suitable. I've seen another dress and I want it changed. And the woman said, have you got the receipt? Yes, there's the receipt there. And the woman went like that. I'm afraid I can't exchange that for you. And she went, what do you mean you can't exchange that for me? The receipt's there. She went, I actually think you've been at the wedding. What do you mean I've been at the wedding? Are you calling me a liar? She went, I believe you've been at the wedding. I've been at no wedding. And she went, well, why is there a plate of sandwiches in the hat box?
So there we go. We're talking about weddings. They are expensive and they are a lovely day out for a lot of people, but it's the cost. So what can we do to make weddings cheaper? Priya?
You could change up the venues. I went to a wedding once that was genuinely above a Nisa local.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. No one working in the shop knew there was a wedding upstairs. It meant that they were saving on catering because you could just go downstairs and get a Ginster's pasty and a 6-pack of tinnies. It was amazing.
This is genius.
Yeah.
Any ideas? What can we do to make weddings cheaper?
I think that if they are your real friends and you're very close and you tell each other everything, you can definitely claim some of the costs back through blackmail.
Yes, the soaring cost of attending weddings is the correct answer. And 2 points go to Fred and Priya. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who's in the news. So I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So Fred and Priya, you're up first this time. Who is this?
This is the best tournament in our sport. It has a huge history and tradition. And yeah, I'd happily give every ranking point that I've ever earned in my career back to win another Grand Slam.
It's Andy Murray, right?
It is Andy Murray, who was back at Wimbledon this week. Unfortunately, though, he did suffer his earliest exit from the tournament as he lost out in 4 sets against American John Isner in the second round. Yes, the stars have been out there at Wimbledon with centre court hosting Andy Murray and Emma Raducanu, court 1 hosting former winner Simona Halep, and of course the Sheriff Court hosting Boris Becker. It was short-lived, but encouraging signs. Were you happy to see Andy back at Wimbledon?
Absolutely delighted. And I think if you look back at the journey he has made in the last couple of years after getting a metal hip, he has come so far. And I just hope he's a legend. I know. And he's brilliant, and he's always considered in what he says, you know. So one day, who knows, if he comes back to Scotland, head of state, who knows?
Yeah.
Just calm down, everybody.
Priya, I don't know if you're into your tennis or you know much about Andy Murray. Were you happy to see him back playing at Wimbledon?
I don't know much about tennis. As a peek behind the curtain, right? Before I came to do this, I got like a briefing call from the producer, and he was like, "Just so you know, there's going to be a question on Andy Murray. The tone of it might change if he gets kicked out," which is the most Scottish thing I've ever used. That level of pessimism early doors.
And we were right.
You weren't wrong. I got the text 10 o'clock last night, yep, fair enough.
What about you, Scott? Were you happy to see Andy back at Wimbledon this year?
Aye, it was good to see him back. Good to see him back. I quite enjoyed that first round when he was playing the fella Duckworth.
Yeah.
It's great seeing Judy and Vera having a right good go at one another. Two formidable mothers.
Never seen tennis on cobbles before.
I know.
What do you think about this then, Elaine? Andy Murray played a couple of games at Wimbledon this year. Were you happy to see him back?
Yeah, he's good. Like, he's maintained his record of never losing in the first round at Wimbledon, as have I. It's complicated. Like, he's now ranked number 52. How far down do those rankings go? Are we all on it? I'm sure I did tennis a couple of times in PE. I must be on there somewhere.
You'll be on there somewhere.
What number's Fred?
Fred, have you got a ranking?
I was Scottish number 2.
Right, Scott and Elaine, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
My preparation was basically starting by absorbing everything. I read every book that was written on his life, and I watched every bit of footage that's out there and listened to every interview.
It's this fella called Austin Butler.
Correctly identified, it is indeed Austin Butler, who's in the news this week as the star of a new hit movie, Elvis, the biopic of the late king of rock and roll. Yes, audiences have been praising Austin's performance as Elvis Presley, and the box office numbers have been just as good. One of Elvis's jumpsuits was called the 1971 Snowflake, which coincidentally is also Keir Starmer's username on Twitter. What do you make of Austin's performance?
It's very annoying for Elvis impersonators, isn't it? For him just to step up and get this gig. And there are an estimated 400,000 Elvis impersonators. Why? Why? Are the suits just really comfy? And how do they know there are 400,000? Because it could just be 50 working really hard.
There is, you might not know this, there's a Welsh language Elvis impersonator in Aberdeen who's been banned from the Elvis impersonator convention in Porthcawl. And he is an icon. I was meant to do a gig with him recently, and the gig got pulled because he'd been double booked. And I was like, by who?
Fred, what do you make of it? I don't know if you've seen any of Austin Butler's performance. If so, any thoughts?
I'm desperate to see it. I know that it stormed in Cannes and it's now doing really well out in now that it's got a distribution. Tom Hanks is in it, playing, was it Colonel Saunders? The only thing I know about Austin Butler is my dad had one in the 1960s, a fantastic car. And the clip that I've seen, the trailer is, if you're looking for trouble, you come to our place. I'd love to have seen a Scottish edition for that. If you're looking for trouble, You've come to the right place.
Come on in.
No, sing it. All right, sorry, I thought it was a square go.
Well, here's a lovely question for you. We're talking about a biopic of Elvis Presley. Austin Butler plays him. But who would play you in the movie of your life and why?
This would need to be a kind of split role, right? There would need to be a kind of mid-30s and under, and then an after mid-30s. Ewan McGregor in the kind of Renton type days, right? In my 20s. And then Paddy for Emmerdale. For 35 upwards, I think. That's kind of how it went. It just kind of it falls away so quickly, you know.
Yes, Elvis has been dead for 45 years, but is still known as the King, which must really annoy Prince Charles. Tough old week for Charlie Boy, isn't it? And there we go. Austin Butler is the right answer, and 2 points go to Scott and Elaine. And it's time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
I don't know, I'm so emotional now.
There you go. That's French tennis player Harmony Tan there, when she realised that she shares her name with Glasgow's #1 sunbed parlour. Right, teams, fingers on buzzers, let's do this. Over half of Brits do what on foreign holidays? Fred.
Each other.
Over half of Brits do what on foreign holidays? Scott.
Have an ice cup of tea and sit down.
Over half of Brits do what on foreign holidays? Priya.
Is it make it home eventually?
Over half of Brits do what on foreign holidays? Elaine.
Travel.
I can tell you the right answer is this. Over half of Brits get sunburnt on a foreign holiday.
I don't know, I'm so emotional now.
Oh, there you go. That is the klaxon. It's all over. Harmony has tanned. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Scott Agnew and Elaine Malcolmson. And commiserations to Priya Hall and Fred Macaulay. And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news just in. MSPs have voted to make some emergency COVID-19 powers permanent, including the ability to impose lockdowns and close schools. Nicola Sturgeon assured the public that their freedoms would only be restricted in extreme circumstances. For example, if they give the wrong answer next October. Experts have warned that rabbits should not be fed lettuce as it makes them high. Owners have since asked what they're meant to feed them when they get the munchies. And the sale of fireworks in Scotland is set to be restricted after legislation was passed this week. The RSPCA welcomed the news, but the Edinburgh military tattoo will now end with everybody holding a lighter up and shouting bang. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!